Welcome back. Well, the so-called mainstream media loves to rail against President Trump's approval ratings. Newsweek going as far as calling Trump, quote, the least popular president ever.
But a new poll reveals Trump has ended his first year in office on par with Obama. Here to weigh in is Beverly Hallberg. She is the president of the District Media Group and a fellow with the Heritage Foundation. Welcome.
Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
So talk to us about this new poll. So the Rasmussen poll shows that President Trump's approval rating is at 46% right now. President Obama's at the same time was at 47%. Yet, President Obama, there it is right there. So they've got more or less the same approval rating at this moment, yet the so-called mainstream media, which is really the left-wing media, is saying that President Trump is the most disapproved president of all time. No hyperbole there.
Yeah, and so when you look at this poll, it's just kind of reinforces what we've known about what Donald Trump would refer to as the fake news, taking a poll like this and still having the narrative that he's not doing well. And when you take a look at the month of December, not only did he end with tax reform, which was huge for his presidency, but also when you look at some of the media coverage, whether it's ABC's Brian Ross, who's now suspended for his incorrect story about the connection with the former national security advisor and the Kremlin, or even CNN having to retract some stories as well. You see that Donald Trump really has ended on a high note, yet many of the mainstream media networks, not Fox, have said that he's not doing well, but that's not the case.
I found that so interesting. When I saw the poll numbers, I thought, and how close they were, I thought, wow, imagine what Obama's poll numbers would be if he had endured the media abuse that Donald Trump has endured.
That's a great point.
Now, I will say, I think President Trump doesn't always help himself by the tweets he sends out. So sometimes he does make it harder for himself. But let's not forget, he's had multiple Russia investigations through 2017. He's had an uphill battle with the news media. He's had a lot of staff turnover as well. But yet for him to have numbers that are this high, when you hear Democrats saying that there's no way he could be reelected, and with midterms around the corner, it makes you wonder if some of the news media are looking at these numbers and are just not taking them seriously. But when you talk to people across the country, what you do find is many people still support this president and are thrilled with what he's done.
It makes me think, Beverly, that Donald Trump's approval numbers are about results. And maybe Obama's was sort of a propping up by the media because it seemed like everything he did they approved of, whether they gave good results or not.
Even there are some polling numbers or some research at the beginning of President Obama's first few months, and you see that the approval or the narrative that the mainstream media was saying in reference to what he was doing was far more favorable to President Trump. President Trump, in his first few months, it was 6 out of 10 stories had a negative narrative to it. So he definitely has had an unfair battle, and when you see what he has weathered, let's be honest, this has been a controversial presidency when it comes to his relationship with the media. Even when I saw the numbers, I was like, these are really high numbers, and I think largely due to a fantastic December and the fact that people wanted results, and tax reform being passed was one of those that people cared about most.
Beverly, we just put that graphic up of what you were referring to. The Pew Research Center showed that the early coverage of President Trump was 63% negative, vis-a-vis 20% negative under Barack Obama. And we should point out that previous poll, the Rasmussen poll, Barack Obama had a 67% approval rating on Inauguration Day. President Trump only a 56. So you think about how far President Obama actually dropped, and which is much more than President Trump did, considering all that negative coverage. Real briefly, Beverly, will the new year bring a resolution from the news media to treat the president fairly?
I don't think so, and part of the reason why is I think it's more of the same, but it's also because we're entering into midterms. So not only is it going to be the typical coverage of President Trump, which can be unfair at times, but also because Democrats, think of Nancy Pelosi or Senator Schumer, they're going to be using very hysterical rhetoric, if I can even say that, in reference to DACA, which is coming up, also in reference to Obamacare, so you can expect them to ratchet that up.
Wow, Beverly Hallberg, we might have extreme fake news in the 2018. We'll see. Beverly, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thank you.